winning teamfight engagements, playing aggressively with killing intent, getting the track kills, and making sure that the Weaver gets to a point where he can't be dealt with. At any rate, now we're going to hop on into Game 3, the decisive game in the Grand Finals between Isurus Esports and Ice Gaming. Rematch of last week's. Isurus won 2-1 in last week's Grand Final. We're going to see if Ice Gaming can actually win this Game 3 and take the Grand Finals back. Become the first... Whoever wins this game will become the first two-time champion of the Raidcall Netolic Weekly Open Cup. I'm Vikrman. I'll put my co-caster Blaze off mute in just 1 second, and we're going to get excited to go into this next game.
Radiant team ban.
Raidcall Dota 2 Weekly Open number 5. How's it going, Vic?
It's going great. I'm really excited this is actually going to a Game 3, and whoever wins it will become our first two-time champion. I mean, how could you ask for anything more? I don't think you could.
Going on through it. I mean, and honestly, like, I didn't expect Ice to pull it out through that last one, but they really played their lineup smoothly and to just kind of to a T in their team fights. They made sure that they had the momentum, and that's what counts. They really, Dota is all about getting that good first start to kind of pile on through and put that pressure on continuously. But now we see an awesome draft from Isurus. They are done fooling around. The gloves are off, picking up. They're like, okay, you will ban out the Batrider and the Shadow Demon. We'll even give you a Nyx Assassin. We take the Wisp, we take the CK, and they are going to go for a very high-pressure global gank strat right off the bat.
Right. I always talk about how the two-ban metagame, in which you only get 2 bans in the first, means that you just, no matter what, you're giving up several heroes that are very strong. That's sort of the meta that IceFrog has set up for us, where there's at least 8 to 10 heroes that are just incredibly amazing, and there is no ban space to contain them all. So you have to know when you choose, okay, we're going to ban Shadow Demon because we really don't like Shadow Demon, that heroes like Darkseer, heroes like Magnus, heroes like Nyx Assassin, heroes like Wisp are much more likely to make it through. And if you have a Wisp and you have second pick, that automatically means that you can take up something to actually go with that Wisp, and they do go for the Wisp CK. It's a high risk, high reward play. If they manage to get the levels on the Wisp, get level 6 in a timely fashion, they manage to get the Chaos Knight to level 8, and they just port around killing everybody, it'll be amazing. If that gets shut down, then they might be in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely, and picking up the Rubik, kind of as a counter to some extent. The last game against Nyx Assassin was able to get off a lot of different steals, so presumably Fan of Sion is going to be picking up the Rubik once more, but trying to play it a little bit differently, trying to make sure he doesn't get picked off too early on. If Rubik gets some levels, he doesn't have that much mobility, but he has a lot of different ways to deal with situations, whether he steals a Carapace or a Phase Shift or an Orb that he can use to escape, or he just kind of goes man mode with that telekinesis and relies on the high damage output of Wisp and CK together to really make sure that he's going to have a safe time in the lane. I think that in this combo, if this is going to be their tri lane indeed, which on the Dire generally will be more so than a dual lane, they can still go for 2-2-1, but if they are going for that try up top, it's going to be Rubik and Wisp trying to make sure they're getting as much experience as possible from pulling the neutrals, stacking them up, and making sure that Wisp can hit 6 for the relocate ASAP.
Right. This is definitely either a safe tri lane, or it's possible they might go dual mid and try to assemble a good dual top with the Rubik. I think most likely it's just going to be a tri-lane, but that is an option that they can have in the back of their pocket. Now, what I do like from Ice Gaming is that these are the first 3 heroes, less so the Venomancer, but these heroes are pretty good to try to live up against that Chaos Knight Wisp, and we do actually see a Tinker hit the field, which you can talk about in a second. But I do want to say, Lifestealer can rage and try to get away, Nyx Assassin can do Spiked Carapace and immediately stun out the Chaos Knight and the Wisp when they try to stun him, and Puck can, if he times his Illusory Orb very effectively, also do a little bit more escape. So this Wisp Chaos Knight are going to have a little bit of difficulty killing these 3 heroes if they manage to hit their levels at a decent rate as well. But the Venomancer might be very easy picking, so that is a good an additional support for them. They're going with a very similar lineup to what they had last game. In fact, an incredibly similar lineup. 3 out of 4 so far are the same. But how do you think this Tinker will change the balance of this game?
Yeah, that's going to be very different. I think they're kind of going for something with a little bit of global presence here and there. The boosted travels up on Tinker early gives them the potential to jump to any creeps that are on and available, and that won't really necessarily directly coincide with a relocate unless Wisp ends up picking up something like a Necronomicon, but it still gives them the potential to have Tinker nearby. Anywhere there's a lane, there's an opportunity for him to jump to it, and from there CK and Wisp are raring to go to follow that up, and it can be very effective in its own right. The problem that I do see it possibly having is that Tinker is very vulnerable without any escape mechanisms, and heroes like Venomancer and Nyx, if they start roaming, can really make life a living hell for a hero like him, especially since he's probably going to be run on the mid lane. Now, as far as while I'm talking about laning, looking at this situation here, a lot of repeats coming out of Radiant. Nyx Assassin, Lifestealer, Puck, same exact tri-lane, except for the carry is a little bit different, and presumably they're going to send it up on the top lane there, the Venomancer, the Lifestealer, and the Nyx, to be able to put pressure out that way, whereas Puck will go for a solo mid, and Windrunner will go for a solo bottom, but picking up this Broodmother allows them to go for some crazy split push stuff that I didn't even think about until just now.
This is a very, very interesting choice, and in terms of anti-push, they do have Illusory Orb, Waning Rift, and Power Shot, basically, are their responses to this Broodmother. So Windrunner Broodmother one-on-one, if that is what we end up seeing happening, it's a fine lane for Brood. She's not that concerned about it, especially if she pulls out all her Spiderlings to make sure they don't go down to the Power Shot. That's something they're going to probably feel pretty comfortable with. Now, the scary thing for... I really like Isurus' lineup. I mean, Tinker plus Broodmother can push things down terrifyingly quickly. So they do have that going for them, and they're going to pair that up with, okay, if you rotate 1 or 2 people to try to deal with the Tinker Broodmother push, we'll just port Wisp Chaos Net on top of you. The difficulty that I see for Isurus Esports is the Rubik Wisp Chaos Knight safe tri-lane that they almost certainly will have to run at this point. I'm not sure how it's going to live. I'm not sure. I think it's possible that the Venomancer Nyx Nyx tri-lane might just actually overwhelm them and try to get them down. So that we might see some mind games in terms of where Isurus are actually going to lane to attempt to dodge the 3 versus 3. Yeah,
that there could be something along those lines. The problem is they don't have really survivable individual. The Broodmother can do pretty good until a sentry drops, and as soon as that's the case, pretty much just has to use a little bit of mobility to move on around, but doesn't have much base strength to work with. Starting at 473, usually see a stout shield or a poor man's shield picked up pretty early on. It gives us some effective HP here and there, but is not all that much. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult until the webs reach about rank 2 or so, when they can provide some stable HP regen. Either way, though, I think that Isurus is going to be trying to put, kind of do a little bit of a distraction play, kind of have them watch one hand and then sock it to them with the other one, because what they can accomplish is that Broodmother can put just a little bit of extra pressure, just a little bit too much, for example, the Windrunner to handle, and in that 1v1 situation, calling for one extra person to help out, suddenly that opens up opportunities on all the other lanes. Jump in with the Tinker, with the CK Wisp. As soon as they start trying to deal with the Broodmother with anything less than 5 heroes, they are automatically, by default, spreading out to make them more susceptible to this global gank strat.
Right. Alright, let's go ahead and introduce the teams, I guess. Who did you take up last time? Did I get Ice or did I get Isurus?
Cannot recall, to be honest.
All right,
so not a big deal either.
I'll get Ice this time. Alright, so on Radiant side, we have Ice Gaming trying to get revenge on the people that beat them last week in the Open Cup number 4. We have Daiko reprising his role on the Puck. We're going to have Matrix up on the Windrunner. MSTCO on the Nyx Assassin. Then Zenders is going to be on the Venomancer, which I think is what he played last game as well. And finally, we will have their carry player Benhaz on the Lifestealer.
Awesome. And we do have a couple of name changes over here on Isurus, but in general, we're going to have Shoko on that Broodmother. Something Sion, no love Sion, I don't know, whatever. Either way, on the Rubik, we're going to have the Wisp picked up, I like the first time now, and Ifrit is just going to stick around with that pickup of the Tinker. Going for Boots first, now selling it, changed his mind, not too sure. But we'll have to see how that plays out itemization-wise, and from there also November Annabella going to be running on that Chaos Knight, so I'm not sure why they decided to suddenly change every single tag they had available. But right here, Tinker going for a standard 3-branch Tango build, whereas Broodmother is going to be rushing that Soul Ring pretty hard, knowing he's going to be safe and sound 1 versus 1 up against that Windrunner, which is something, like you mentioned, he can handle very, very extensively. Even if Windrunner has sentries, there's just no real concern tied to that lane.
Alright, so quickly before we get our first clash, which is going to be about 10 seconds, make a quick call. Who's going to take out this Game 3 and become this first 2-time champion?
I think Isurus have something very dynamic, something that Netolic's not really, or sorry, Ice Gaming is not really ready to bounce back against, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But right now, with the open wound starting up, a 2-second stun on the Nyx, he's going to have that Impale delayed. Nice Shackle coming on through, though. Mystico taking a lot of damage, but Chaos Knight's going to be the first to fall. Now, following up, the Nyx does drop as well, but Matrix does get that first blood. Benhaz once more. Oh, big deny coming out. Wisp getting the last hit on the Galed Up unit means he will actually be able to negate that kill and just kind of throw a couple hits back the other direction. Not really anything to follow up with, but it was actually a very, very nice fight, I guess from both sides, but I gotta say Matrix MVP to this point of the game with that shackle shot, setting up on 2, even if it's only 1.5 seconds of disable. You add that up on 2 heroes, it's 3 seconds, and it really, really makes the play when you can get that much damage in. You're effectively more disabling than a Chaos Knight, who's generally considered one of the better brawlers in the level 1 engagements.
Right. Again, yeah, absolutely. I think calling out the shackle shot is definitely correct. However, Wisp, that deny, that is very, very, very consequential because at the beginning of the game, if you get denied or if you die, your respawn time is incredibly short. So it's not as if it took anybody out for a very long time. And they did lose First Blood, so it was a 1-for-1 trade at that point where they were already behind by about a kill's worth of gold equity. So managing to not get behind by 2 kills worth of gold equity is just, it was enormous, honestly. They would be substantially more difficult to actually win this try versus try situation that they're about to head into if they hadn't actually gotten that deny. So very, very good denial from Wisp there. The other thing I want to say is, oh yeah, we were going to talk about who we think will take out the game 3, and I'm very glad you said Isurus, because that means I can honestly, rather than contrarianly, take the opposite position. Which is what I was going to say is, I like Isurus' lineup, I like their draft, I think it's clever, but I also like what ICE is doing, where they're going with a similar lineup to what works for them, and they're going to just use their sort of pristine, just the fact that they're very, very good in these tight teamfight engagements. Like, their execution, I think, is so good, and even going back to week 2, which I don't think we commentated together. I think you might have been on one stream, and I was there with El Presidente on the other. But they got behind again and again to No Fire Wisp bottom in week 2, or it might have been week 3. And again and again, they just played so tightly and so effectively with the heroes that they had, and their execution was so good that they managed to take it out. So I think even though Isurus' draft looks really good, especially on paper, I think ICE have drafted something that they can work with, that they know, and that they can execute. And I think you just saw in that first engagement them executing incredibly well. And I think we could just see that happen again and again and again, especially in this try versus try up top.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting moving on forwards. And although Ben Haas is falling back for the moment, he is probably raring to go with something else up his sleeve. In general, he just wants to make sure that he's going to get plenty of farm, but also wants to play it aggressively. We're not going to see this Midas lifesteal. We're going to see that potential for just see things jumping on through really, really quickly. But no, I agree with the sentiment that these lanes are very solid. Their mechanics and playing these kinds of heroes and playing this lineup can be very, very effective. But I also kind of feel that Isurus learned a couple things from last time. And although Ifrit might be giving away a little bit to the puck as far as his farm, by being able to answer back a little bit with that, I think he's going to be in a decent spot. Mystico currently on the mid lane. He kind of he respawned from that engagement and came right back up this direction. Do you think he's just going for a rune ward, or if they're going to try to change things up a little bit? I think the pug does need solo experience, but could be looking for it elsewhere, whereas Windrunner could stay up top. It's debatable. It's debatable. It's just I think Nyx has a lot more lane control and lane presence in general, but of course you can't count out that 600 range auto attack for the Windrunner, and the fact that she's one of the few that can survive that Wish CK double stun combo.
I think it's gotta be rune wards and then head up towards the top. Here's what I would accept. I mean, obviously I'm not in a position where I can veto what they're actually laning with, but what they could do, and I'm okay with this, is Puck solo safe and Windrunner in the middle. I like that, because Windrunner's got the great range. Puck is able to clear out Spiderlings extremely quickly. Broodmother actually won't have any time to sort of get away if the Puck just sort of waning Rift Illusory Orbs. He can blow up those Broodlings incredibly quickly and dodge Broodmother spitting Spiderling spells at him just by immediately pressing E. So I like that. I don't think having Puck or Windrunner as a support and having Nyx mid is going to work. I think there's a ton of problems with that. Problem number 1, Tinker, first level, picked up March of the Machines. Now, the reason he did that is for that big engagement that they had up top, because obviously March of the Machines is the ideal level 1 spell, just because if you're fighting in a confined area, that's going to deal a lot of damage. But Nyx Assassin is going to have a lot of trouble with that if he sort of comes up to start last hitting, and the response is March of the Machines. And Nyx Assassin, he's not going to be able to get kills on that Tinker. Tinker could just respond with a laser, March, and just Nyx has to run, basically. Furthermore, either Windrunner or Puck actually playing support and top is just going to be so rough for them. I think they need levels on Puck, they need levels on Windrunner, and one of the two of them has to be bottom. So yeah. I really think, yeah, I don't know. I would love to see Windrunner mid and Puck bottom, or Puck mid and Windrunner bottom, but Nyx mid I think would just be an unforced error.
Okay, that's definitely an acceptable opinion there. Of course, you can think of it a different way, and I think as far as the one point that I completely 100% agree with is that with Windrunner, their lane would generally not be as strong as it needs to be up top. But I've seen this matchup quite a few times over, where they actually run Nyx to counter a Tinker mid, where you can get the Carapace off on rockets, which are extremely predictable. His cast animation on laser is not that great either, and along with that, the mana burn, he has good base intellect. That's one of his best strengths. Is although his base damage isn't amazing, his base intellect, he's running 30 right now. That's, I mean, multiply that by 5 and you do 150 damage to mana and health. That mana burn, pretty substantial there. It's just, I mean, obviously he's going supportive. He has Observer wards out. It's just, in theory, there's a lot of different ways you could run that, but most likely you're just going to be seeing, like we were kind of talking about before, Matrix running down bottom, might go for like a Soul Ring Tranquil build just so he can spam out Power Shot like crazy and make sure that Broodmother can't stack up those Spiderlings.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he does have the Ring of Protection, and the fact that did he score the first blood? Because he has quite a bit of gold. I think what he could do is definitely get like Basilius already, and then just take a teleport.
Definitely could be an option there. Boots of Speed would really deter him from getting to his lane in time. So I definitely think that just picking up something early to start off and TPing on down would probably be the most prudent thing to do. Broodmother just now setting up one web and looking for a second one, of course, but the creep wave only having recently spawned, as we've been talking about a lot of stuff, but it really only so much time has passed. 8 seconds into the game, and we're a little bit at a loss for what's going on with the puck as far as his disconnection issues. I do have some translations of what's going on back and forth, but it's just pretty much an internet issue, and hopefully that will be rectified in a short time period.
Oh, definitely. I would hate to see this. This game is already really promising. I think whatever happens, it's going to be very interesting, because if Ice manage to just go for the throat again and just get tons of kills, that'll obviously be exciting. And if this very unusual overarching strategy from Isurus works, that would be great too. I mean, the combination of the gank ability with the heavy push lineup, I mean, I really like it. It is very non-traditional. I think you made a very good point about Nyx against Tinker mid. I typically underrate Nyx as a mid, and I think especially the mana burn point is very strong. It's just sort of the flip side that it's not that Nyx would be bad. It's just really tough to figure out where to put the puck in Windrunner otherwise. I mean, they're not going to jungle. Not that jungle puck isn't great in his own way, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Comparing Windrunner as a support in a tri-lane, comparing that to a Nyx, you have to have the best shackle spots on the planet if you're going to be able to make that work. So I definitely think it'd just be a lot simpler to run that Windrunner on the solo, TP her back on down, and send that puck on out to his destination as well. But we'll see. Either way, they're going to be unpaused in a moment as he has just come back into the fray. And from here, it looks like it's going to be that tri-lane versus tri-lane that we were looking for. In that situation there, it's going to come down to a little bit of luck on the CK. If he can get some good rolls on that bolt, then it's not going to be that big of a deal that Nyx's stun is so darn powerful. And also, they can just kind of stand and fight rather than worrying about the Gale. Because last time around, it was, Rubik gets Galed, and he, the little, I would say like 600, 700 units to the tower feels like a mile. It's just like he has to run. He doesn't have any other option but to stand and deliver. But the worst case scenario, a Wisp gets Galed. He oftentimes has that tether option to just jump back on out of position. The other ones, they are beefy enough to be able to just stay up on the front line. Rubik, again, still only has 1 armor, but he has disables to back him up. The tether, the Chaos Bolt, so on and so forth. And I think that if they want to really try to take the fights, with a little bit of luck, they could easily make these engagements work for them up on the top lane.
It's interesting. I think both teams are going to try to pick at the sort of the scab, the one least survivable player on the other team. For Isurus, it's going to be if we land a good Chaos Knight stun on Venomancer. That's exactly what we need to sort of start that fight. If Venomancer gets stunned out and dies before getting a Gale out, that's going to be at least 2 dead players, because the Nyx will probably die on the back of that just because of what Isurus can put out. On the flip side, they do have more protection for Rubik this time. I think you were absolutely right about that. They do have the Chaos Knight stun they can use defensively. They do have Tether. But if Rubik gets caught out again and another Veno-Nyx combo hits on him, that's going to be a dead Rubik. And a dead Rubik not being able to get to level 6 in a timely fashion again, as he did last time, is going to put Isurus in a tough position, because it's going to put more pressure on the Wisp. The Wisp is going to... If the Rubik is dying, basically the situation that the Wisp is going to face is that he's going to have to stay in the lane more. And that it means that he's taking XP away from the CK, and his XP is also a little slower than if they actually managed to effectively manage the jungle between him and Rubik. And so it could easily tilt either way, and I think this is definitely going to be... I think all 3 lane matchups are going to be interesting, but I'm going to spend a lot of time watching the top to sort of see which way it actually tilts.
Yeah, I definitely think that the top is going to be the most interesting, but I also have to say that Isurus on the bottom has a lot of potential to make it very, very impactful. If I think in this situation, I mean, of course they could just play in a certain play style where both of them are just happy to get farm here and there, get a couple denies left and right, and not have that big a deal. But I kind of feel like Broodmother is in a position that not only can she start pretty well off in her lane, but as she starts moving up towards level 6, 7, and 8, that she could actually just start overwhelming if we don't see enough mana sustainability on her opponent, on the Pug, on the Windrunner. If they can't reinforce with a ton of AoE spells, Broodmother can start really, really getting powerful in a 1v1 circumstance. And I definitely think that if that lane is won as hard as it possibly could be, that it will dramatically shift how Ice Gaming has to respond across the map.
That's a good point. I think there's a lot of ways. If Isurus win, it could very easily look like a blowout, just because there's so many huge upside things on their team. There's, okay, you leave the Broodmother alone. If the tri-lane starts going not that great for Ice, and they rotate the Windrunner back up top to try to get kills, that's going to be a tower. And the second time they do it, it might be the tier 2 tower. And then you're facing a really, really bad situation considering you're up against Tinker and Broodmother. If the Tinker hits his Boots of Travel quickly, that could be, you know, also incredibly difficult for them to deal with. Oh, actually, there might be a first blood attempt coming out here.
Yeah, looking at mid lane, Ifrit doesn't have that much escape, but Mystico actually not looking to commit up on top. Instead, the commitment is the 2-second stun on Benhaz. They're following up with tether damage coming on through, and they're actually telekinesis back, so Benhaz will be able to survive from all these big right-click damage, but at a huge loss. Stout Shield keeping him alive and really, really showing his money worth, but he already spent his salve after that big engagement in the jungle. So now he has not really much to work with, and Zender doesn't have a salve either. He's sitting there with nothing. Mystico is going to actually be the one to set him up successfully, but transitioning up that support leaves Puck to really just go for that 1v1 where Ifrit already has a double damage to start off.
They need level 2 on this Lifestealer. They need a 1 rank of Rage. It's absolutely critical. Chaos Knight, Wisp, Rubik can't do anything to you if you have Rage, can do oh so many horrible things to you if you don't.
Yeah, that's going to be a big factor there. Broodmother down on bottom, moving in towards that Soul Ring very quickly. Just needs about, not even 350 gold to finish off the last little bit there, and that's going to give him pretty much unlimited mana to accompany the unlimited health that comes with rank 2-3 webs. And that's obviously going to be to his great benefit. Sentry Ward coming on down, but not in the best position. I believe this can still spawn based on that Sentry. It was kind of a little bit of a misstep if that's the case, but we'll have to see it in about 4 seconds here.
It should block.
Okay, it does.
Yeah,
good.
It does.
Okay, there's a couple of spots. There's a couple of spots right along this ridge, and you have to be very careful about it because it's just a tiny little bit off, and it's not going to work out. So, lucky for them, that is the case. And now they're just kind of going in that standard 3v3. No real pulls options available. They do go for a nice reality rip Heather combo onto Benhaz. He does turn things around, though, without a rage. No rage available. They have the telekinesis? No. If Wisp is taking too much damage here, they're focusing him down. Should be able to get the kill in the long run. Last right click goes to Mystico. But Benhaz is low. 2 seconds stun. Last right click to finish it out. And he drops down himself. November, Annabella trying to turn it around on Mystico. Has that Carapace up in 1 second. Nice combo of the telly and a fade. Now double stun coming from the Carapace. And Mystico going to be the last survivor here. So one man to tell the tale of what exactly happened here, because that was just complete massacre in favor of Isurus, and it just didn't really show much opportunity because Benhaz didn't have rage for so much time. And the really back and forth, but Isurus is going to get much more profit out of that as long as they can get more mana on the CK, which the Wisp has at least one clarity to support.
Really a confluence of unfortunate factors there. Actually, yeah, sorry, Windrunner got picked off at bottom as well. So that'll be easily the Soul Ring, probably Boots on top of that. And Broodmother, that's dangerous. Getting the advantage in the bottom and the top is very, very dangerous for Ice Gaming. What I wanted to say, actually, is the Lifestealer dying. It's a confluence of factors. Rage is not that great for the level 1 pre-beginning of game engagement. So Open Wounds was the right choice. But then you're in an aggressive tri-lane. You don't get that fast XP, and you don't have Rage. So you just get picked off repeatedly.
Now they might be looking to go again, or just use... No, they used the Spirit... Oh, crap. That sucks. Oh, that's unfortunate. Like the first time, used his spirits so that he could not be overhealing on mana. He wanted to make sure that he had dumped out 120 mana, and the clarity could restore 100 of it, giving that mana to the CK through 1.5 times coefficient on that tether. But using the spirits to harass a little bit, pulled them too close to the neutrals, and from there, they aggroed them, losing the clarity about halfway through. So CK is still sitting in a position where he can almost follow up with a double combo of his Chaos Bolt and his Reality Rift, but not quite.
Yeah. Well, he'll have it very,
Straight
very
up on
shortly.
top, want to
Actually,
focus on
going out.
Rubik. With that Gale landing, that's 100% a kill on him. Unless they get the deny, doesn't look like it. He's left for dead, and he does magic stick away, so he is going to be able to salve out of the Gale, and he's going to actually take the big stun coming through from Mystico, but walking away. Oh, big reality ripped, and he's going to. Oh, he right clicked. You right clicked on the Carapace. In the other one that does get, I guess they both get dropped down. Nothing else really. So that's a little bit unfortunate because it was perfect timing from November.
It was.
I mean, he jumped in and he did exactly what he needed to follow that up appropriately. Now going on Benhaz with a tether stun, had switches to intreads for the Chaos Bolt, but it gets raged out by Benhaz. Both of them playing nicely, but just not really getting too much long term. Rubik bringing no clarity to the party means that a Chaos Knight is just going to be a right click here for quite some time.
Matrix is having a really tough time in the bottom. Broodmother at this point is creep cutting. That's how confident he feels about the situation. And that tower is already taking very substantial amounts of damage.
So yeah, deny here and there, but still going to keep spawning those Spiderites and going to keep on putting that damage out. Can pop off Windrun occasionally, but 100 mana is a lot. That's a full power shot essentially. And
These
so
aggressive web placements. Goodness gracious, Windrunner has nowhere to hide.
Exactly, and the Soul Ring coming back up means more spiders to come on through and just keep that pressure rolling. That's exactly what Choco intends to keep going, and been to great effect. They're actually having to transition Benhaz jungle here.
It looks like they're actually doing a full rotation because everybody left the top lane. It looks like they've seeded the top lane situation there, and that's tough after you've already chosen an aggressive tri-lane, because at this point their levels have got to be level 2 Venomancer, level 4 Lifestealer, 2 levels behind the Chaos Knight.
And that's extremely unfortunate for them. And I gotta say that Lifesteal is not a great jungler. He has the Style Shield. Now with 2 points of feast, he can survive through the jungle, but he by no means is he actually very quick about it. Now we do see 3 seconds away. That's gonna be a kill on Matrix, no problem at all. So
will die, but Broodmother actually copying the stun.
He's gonna get turned around. Yeah, that's really bad for him. He had an easy opportunity there, but put down the webs to make sure that he wasn't gonna get fogged at nighttime. Actually, still might survive because the webs are just so powerful at rank 3, staying fast, but no.
Good stun.
Last second Impale does follow on through. So they do get the kill on him. Clean him up, and Matrix does survive. And that rotation, I guess, pays off in the long term because getting that kill in the solo Brood, that's a level 7 hero that this level, like, 2, what is that, a level 2 Venomancer, now 4? Big boost.
And he does finally get his boots, so he has nothing but boots, but that's a good item to have. And they do save the Windrunner, too. If they had come even a second later, that Windrunner, like, literally 1 second, then that Windrunner would have been dead.
But now it looks like on top lane, they're just going to take an opportunity to put pressure up on this top tier 1 tower. And we'll see how that works out for them. But Ifrit getting some stacks up on these Ancients, and as soon as he starts farming these up aggressively with his maxed out March of the Machines, that's going to set him up for his Boots of Travel is just about around 11 minutes.
All credit to Ice Gaming, though. They are aware of this. They've placed down some wards. I actually saw them ping it out as well. So they know it's happening, and they will try to deny it if they can. But they're actually going to try to pick a fight top, it looks like. Wow, what a dream coil.
Yeah, going on through. There is big damage going across. It looks like Rubik is going to take a fall pretty quickly here, but they're turning damage around, finishing off the puck, and looking for more. Double Impale, however, might stop that train of thought. 2 seconds off on the Chaos Bolt, and they're going to try. No, they
don't have the damage.
They really could go for this. I mean, a rank 4 cancel is so powerful. Windrunner only has 450 HP, but they just don't want to commit when they don't know what awaits them beyond this point.
Right. If Lifestealer had been there and jumped in on that, that would have been a very tough situation for them. And at that point, he was in the jungle, so they didn't know where he was. But again, as I mentioned, Windrunner rotates. Windrunner's gone. This could be the tower right here, right now.
Oh yeah, whenever you leave a Broodmother alone, that's exactly what's going to be happening. But they could pop, they already did pop Fortification, and it just doesn't help at all. So getting the last hit, of course, Broodmother, setting himself up, Shoko, very nicely. And now that he has the treads, could either go for Magic Wand or just straight for that Orc of Malevolence. So powerful in shutting down both the Windrunner and the Puck. And also, a lot of people don't talk about this, but the Lifestealer, he relies on his spells to escape a lot. If he can't Rage, he can't Infest, he can get brought down really quickly.
Absolutely. I think they definitely will go for the Orchid on Brood. I would not expect him to even go Magic Wand. It's certainly possible, but I think he'll rush it. And Tinker, meanwhile, well on the way to his Boots of Travel, even though he hasn't done this full stack yet. Actually, the rest of the stack is probably enough. What is this, about 700 of equity? Yeah, I think that'll take him to his Boots of Travel. So, bad to worse for Ice Gaming. I mean, they're only down 1 kill, but this Lifestealer is underdeveloped. The same sort of situation we saw in Game 2 for Isurus. Like, this Lifestealer has nothing. Tier 1 Boots, Magic Stick, Quelling Blade.
Yeah, that's really fortunate. The Boots of Travels come on out. Global presence for the Tinker, and soon enough will be for the Wisp as well, moving in very close to that level 6. And he has that bottle, which he's going to use to control runes a little bit here and there, and make sure that CK is always raring to go, always has lots of options available, and it's a good alternative to the Arcane Boots. Just go Tranquil's bottle, stay very active, have lots of health to work with, and there's not too much that right now that Ice Gaming can do other than really just being very, very conscious about how they proceed. I mean, you mentioned one great thing is the fact that they have lots of escapes. They have the Jaunt, the Rage, the, I guess, Vendetta to an extent, Wind Run. If they see it coming, they should be able to evade on out, but there's always limitations there.
Right. I think really where Ice Gaming had to excel was the very early game, and the fact that they haven't meant that they have to play incredibly carefully, because A, you always need somebody bottom, because otherwise you're going to start losing towers. But the flip side of that is that someone bottom automatically becomes the most attractive target for Chaos Knight. Rubik actually hunting here. Will they actually see Lifestealer? It looks like they won't. But
oh,
Chaos
wow,
Knight
I didn't catch that whatsoever. Chaos Knight dropping low, gets scaled up, and that will be a deny. Most likely TP coming on through. It will barely be enough. And that's going to set up November Annabella with extremely low HP to fall back. And guess who's going to join him? It's the Wisp. He has his ultimate available, can pop up the spirits inside the fountain and have full mana available to jump on down bottom. Benhaz in a sore spot. The creep wave will not spawn for 5 more seconds, and if they had vision of this, they would most certainly be looking to go on him, but instead they're just going to be doing some right-click damage into the tower, presumably, or transitioning on into the jungle to enhance the Broodmother farm all the more.
They're just waiting until they see somebody. They're going to wait until the right moment and then jump. Oh, they see Puck. Will they actually go for him? No, I guess not, actually. Still contemplating it. But, oh, never mind. I don't remember what I was going to say. Wind Rider is moving towards that mechanism, so that will be very, very, very useful for them, I think. And Benhaz does have to rage.
He wastes the rage, and the relocate is not actually... Okay, it is on point. It just didn't seem like it at first. Now, pulling the Reality Rift on, they get exactly what they need to, and now trying to follow through. Nice shackle from Matrix, though. Big damage going across the Impale as well. Out. Finishing off the Wisp, but that just keeps CK in the action. Trying to go for Matrix. He doesn't have follow-up, but the Spiderlings certainly do. Spawning them across, and now Zender going to be the target of choice. They have to burn down the Plague Ward, but without Zender having a TP, it's just going to delay the inevitable here. Now, big damage coming into Annabella, and Mystico doing some good damage to him, but with Shoko back on in, the Carapace about to expire, they can finish this off. Nice rockets coming on through as well, and they're going to be able to finish... Yeah, they're going to be able to finish... Oh, big Impale! Finish off the CK, and Brood doesn't have that Soul Ring for 10 seconds. Finally, Ifrit getting that second rocket across will be able to finish the job on both of his targets there. So, being able to finish off the Nyx Assassin and the Puck there. Nice movement from Ifrit, and it's just surprising how he's been able to get so much experience on top of the Boots of Travel. It's just really, really effective usage of what he got from the Ancients.
Isurus Gaming absolutely making that clever lineup work for them, and I love that kill on the Lifestealer. Get him to have to pop Rage because he's slightly out of position, and then dump the Chaos Knight Wisp on him. They waited and waited and waited, and at the exact right moment they unleashed the Chaos Knight Wisp.
That's absolutely exactly what happened, and from there the Wisp did pay the price, but the rest of them got good follow-up. Now, I gotta give credit to Mystico. He's been doing some great impales. It should be enough to bring down Broodmother here. Benhouse trying to chaos it with the Infest, but either way, getting the pick off there. But no, it's all been about Mystico in the setups. He got like 3 amazing impales off in that last fight. Almost actually got himself out of it if it wasn't for that Tinker delivering the hurt on the back end of things. And actually, they do get the bottom tier 2 deny, so that's actually gonna put them in a pretty good spot. Is the Carapace. Oh, didn't look out. That would be so cool. But actually stuns out at least the Impale, so they both actually fall back from here. And with Mystico, yeah, he's gonna actually get turned around on pretty hardcore. Just a couple right clicks is all. Oh, March Machine, just walk away. And actually, there is going to be a lot of damage coming into Rubik here. He does get Dream Called up, and despite the Carapace, he's not going to be able to accomplish too much. Having a little bit of fun with it, but actually setting up enough time for Wisp CK to come on in. Now I need to focus down on Matrix. They do have that Reality Rift in 2 seconds, but the Gale and the Wisp and the Tether Shackle Shot, they're just going to have to wait 2 seconds and fall back from here. Well, so walking away, Ifrit in a bad spot now. Has no boots to travel. Is going to try to refresh it fast enough, but I don't think it's going to work for him too much. Too much damage coming on through, and that's his death. Matrix taking a lot of damage from the March, but it is going to be able to walk away, just barely.
A little bit of miscommunication there, honestly. Tinker thought that Chaos Knight Wisp wanted to stay in. They didn't want to stay in, and consequently Tinker ends up meeting his doom, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 1 kill out of all this. They're coming out right now 15 to 12, and most of this has been on the supportive Nyx here. 5, 4, and 5 as far as kills and assists, and comparing that to what the Lifestealers acquired, 1, 2, and 4, it's nothing. CK, Tinker, Broodmother, all picking up some really, really key kills, and that's why they're topping out the experience per minute, all 3 of them.
Right, exactly. So the thing is, even though they get the deny bottom, sure, it's a little gold that doesn't go to Isurus, But this entire bottom section is now, if not inaccessible to them, incredibly dangerous, because at any time Chaos Knight and Wisp can jump in. At any time Tinker and Broodmother can start threatening this tier 3. This entire section of the map is just so scary for Ice. And that's including the jungle that you really want your Lifestealer to have free reign in when he wants. Chaos
going up on top. Yeah, he's going to get a 3-second stun. It gets Carapace up, though, and with that Gale, he's going to have to try to TP. No, too many stuns coming on through, and that will finish him off for sure. Now it's going to be either buyback, they're going to look to relocate, or... so yeah, no, that's a Tinker. I'm not too sure what they're actually planning with that buyback. Not able to jump in just yet, but he is going to just go TP to the front lines on the tower, forcing them away from the tier 1. Blink Dagger up on Tinker gives him nice mobility here, but not really. He's being a little bit preemptive with the March Machines up in the trees.
Yeah, I honestly, it was a waste of a buyback. I think they, again, Isurus just showing a little bit of miscommunication in these fights. Their lineup is working great, but they're just not quite, like, I think he thought that Wisp would TP to base and then relocate him on top of the other team while Tinker Boots had traveled in. But Tinker was like, nah, I want to buy Blink Dagger. Actually, Rubik in a lot of trouble. Great mana burn.
Yeah, picking him off completely and just kind of overstaying his welcome there. Everybody had already fallen back. Tinker, of course, jumping in and out of the base to refresh all of his bottle, his soul ring, everything that he has going on for him. And instead, it's just a quick pick-off.
Again. I think they're going to try to pick him off.
Yeah, it's only rank 1 Vendetta on Nyx, but he does have that Infest going on through. So with this vision from the Observer Ward, quick, easy pick-off, and there's nothing they can do about it. And now he is dead in the grave for sure. Shackled up to a tree, just to add a little bit of salt in the wound there. He is definitely locked down, and that's 35 seconds. He has no choice but to think about what he's done, really. Just kind of...
Think about his life, think about his choices. No, but, I mean, how much gold has this Chaos Knight lost in the last couple minutes, right? Like,
exactly.
3 deaths in 1 minute.
Yeah, he could have his armlet by now if he was just kind of farming away, rather than worrying about exactly what's going on with the pressure of these circles.
This ward, too. What a good ward. I mean, the fact that they placed that the first time they killed him meant that they could come around and kill him again.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, the time that Zender put it down, the Chaos Knight was literally farming right here, and he could have gotten picked off so painfully, but actually just lucked out where he saw it coming right when he placed it and just ran for the hills. But anyways, from there, getting 2 kills on a level 10 is allowing them to bounce back so much for experience. We see the experience gain swooping up and moving in towards cutting out about half the disadvantage they had previously. Now we do see Wisp trying to accompany the CK, but not willing to fully commit to anything in another lane. Speaking of other lanes, Daiko going toe-to-toe with Shoko, but with that Orchid up, it's going to force the Ghost Scepter coming out immediately from Puck in order to survive from this.
Definitely good. If anybody's going to live against this Broodmother, it's going to be this Ghost Scepter Puck. He just has to heal up between engagements and Illusory Orb and waiting to rift the heck out of those Spiderlings. But top Tiara, I think, is probably going to go down. It's only at 240 HP.
Yeah, just keep that relentless pressure going. The march continues, and Ifrit always having that mana available, jumping right back on into it. Again, he has the blink. There is inside the Nyx. Ayo, big damage coming out through CK. Stunned 3 ways. And yeah, from there, the Infest just doing too much damage. Now focusing on Rubik. He's going to drop quickly, and I don't think they really have any real foothold in this fight.
Huge march.
Nice
damage.
rocket. The Carapace comes on through, though, and negates it, so the Ifrit himself is locked in place. MSTCO taking lots of damage, but Mystico is actually going to be able to just TP away to safety. Pulls a little trick from the opponents there, and is able to slide on out very sneakily. And from there, they continue to defend this tier 1. Now with the siege creep damage, they can go for the deny.
Nyx freaking Assassin Blaze. I mean, oh my goodness, he's been on point.
Speaking of Ifrit jumping on in, he really wants this tower kill so bad. He is actually going to be able to get it with one more right click here. And they immediately relocate to safety, but it is going to force the Wisp back here. Is he going to change his buddy?
Brood is in a lot of trouble.
Oh, nice TP from CK. Oh, down bottom Brood. 3 versus 1, not going to work out so much. Tinker comes down to help, but it's way too belated. And even with that Blink Dagger, I got to say he's got to watch himself. He'd be a little bit more cautious in that circumstance.
Definitely. The nice thing is March is doing so much work, because Venomancer, even though he's he's a ranged hero, he has to be right in there, and he has very low HP. So March is great against him. March is obviously, I mean, fantastic against Lifestealer, and Puck has to jump in for a little bit as well. So that March is doing a lot of work in these engagements. But I mean, honestly, I feel a little better about Ice's position. I think this could go either way, especially with this Nyx freaking assassin and these impales that he's landing.
Yeah, he's really, really good. But 3-second stun's going to lock him down for good. And without a Carapace, he's going to drop quickly. So he drops down. And now we do see focus change to Zender. Actually, not finishing off the Nyx. Van Oz popping off that Infest, going on the CK. But he can't really do-si-do with that much health.
Shackle.
Nice Shackle. Might turn things around, though. Mystico getting hit by incidental damage from the Spirits. Now trying to Reality Rift back on in. They do catch out the Windrunner with the Windrunner just coming off cooldown. Not able to get out. And instead, they take multiple kills. 3 kills for absolutely nothing. And that's going to give Wisp enough money to pick up the mechanism. And that is immense for a Wisp.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, the way the tether works, I already talked about the 1.5 times healing, but think about the fact that they already get healed by 1.0. That's 2.5 times 250, which equals 625 health. That's like half of what CK has got. It's just ridiculous how much you can heal with that thing, and now they have it in their full arsenal.
Yeah, really bad fight for Ice there, frankly. I was just talking about how they were sort of taking themselves back into the game, and I mean, Lifestealer, no armlet, just does so little. Like, he went on CK, he got sort of everything that he wanted to get, but just no damage came out from him. Like, without the armlet, without the attack speed, you just can't get these people down, especially when CK is being tethered and being healed actively by Wisp.
Absolutely. Now Broodmother kind of still just camping out on bottom. Finding opportunities to get some CS here and there with the Spiderites, and transitioning out into the jungle. This is something you can do easily once the towers are down. Just change your focus a little bit. Looks like their focus might be looking at Roshan. There are no wards up at all from the Radiant, and yeah, they're going to go right on in. They have the mechanism up, so why not? Geometry side as well. Don't have to worry about the Nyx being an unexpected guest coming on through, and yeah, I think they can easily deal with this if they approach it appropriately.
Gotta love that 4-second Rosh stun. I wonder if he'll get another one. No, I think this is a kill, no question. Even if Ice knew about this, which they probably do just because they don't see anybody on the map, even the Broodmother, but there's nothing they can do about this. They just sort of have to have it happen. Especially now that there's the gem up. The Nyx Assassin has been the main factor in this game that's been going well for Ice, so a gem is a very, very smart option to sort of start counteracting that.
I find it interesting that Rubik's dropping down sentries while he has a gem available, but, you know, can't be too cautious there. Actually, it might have been the Wisp. Either way.
No, it was actually Rubik, so it was the full irony. But the thing is, if you're Rubik, like, you can't be everywhere at once, right? And they'll know if the Vendetta... Like, one of their issues is a Vendetta Nyx with Lifestealer inside of him. And that can come from any angle. You might not see it until it's sort of a little bit too late. So I think it's very smart to continue still doing a little bit of sentry work just to sort of cover map areas while also having the gem to sort of see in the middle of a fight if Nyx is trying to escape.
Yeah, Mystico close again, but gets Orchid up. Surprise Party comes on through, though, and there's really nothing he can do. I cannot focus down hardcore enough, even with amazing lifesteal coming out of that insatiable hunger. It's just not going to set up Brood to dish out enough damage to survive. 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4. They keep on focusing there like this, and that's where Ice's lineup shines. That's really, if they can go for engagements on heroes that don't expect it, if Tinker gets a little bit over aggressive, out of position, he uses his Blink Dagger and puts himself forward right into a bad spot next to a Nyx, or in this case, the Broodmother just getting detected up and dropped down quickly, there's really, really nothing that can be done for Isurus. They have to fight very, very wisely as they move on forward here. Even though they have taken a free Rosh, they have an Aegis and an Armlet on the CK, they still have to be very, very intelligent about how they proceed.
Certainly. Now, the good news for them, though, this Broodmother, even with that death, is quite close to... I mean, not that close, but about 2/3 of the way to BKB. And BKB is going to be huge. They're actually relocating. Will they actually manage to catch up this Windrunner? I'm not sure.
Looking to turn things around here. As far as tether timing, he will get the cooldown off. So, putting up here... Oh, yeah, barely getting the tether off before the Shackle Shot comes on through. Just barely.
Yeah, if that Shackle had hit before the tether, I mean, we'd be talking about some Wodota, and not in Wodota funny time either. But he does get the Shackle, and so that's very consequential. But once this Brood hits BKB, this is going to be very dangerous, because that's 10 extra seconds of pushing that you can do without any fear. I mean, every single one of their crowd controls is blocked by BKB, including Puck's Dream Coil. Nyx Assassin hunting around, but they know they've got the gem.
Yeah, trying to turn things around. Rage on Rubik, actually, keeping him very mobile despite the open wounds, finishing off the Nyx Assassin really, really quickly. Now Ifrit going in for some laser rocket, Reality Rift. That is one dead ledge if I've ever seen one. And in a rough spot, he gets finished off with Wisp actually heading his killing spree. Now pursuing on into the tier 2 tower. There's nothing to really contest them. Zender only just now starting to lay the Plague Wards in, and from there, really, really utilizing their Observer Wards effectively. Lane Ward up on top, Ancient Ward down in that exact position for the Radiant, and from there, yeah, they are in a desperate situation.
Yeah, they really should have, in fairness, they really should have known about that gem. Rubik was in sight for, like, substantial lengths of time in the last couple engagements. Like, they could have known that he actually picked up that gem and not run in there with just the Nyx Lifestealer into a group of 4. Kind of an unforced error. I mean, they do have worse vision and they're under more pressure, but losing Rubik, losing their 2 most developed heroes in the form of the Nyx Assassin and the Nyx, I mean, it definitely not what Ice wanted at this point, and losing their last outer tower, even more, definitely not what they want.
And getting the ward up on the plateau down bottom, that's really, really key. I mean, they put another ward in the middle, too. They really don't want them leaving this area. They have it perfectly covered. There's nowhere they can go that's safe.
That is shocking. The only place that's not heavily warded is the place that Broodmother is playing around with
Holy, that was good. That was good.
Good rage.
He raged, he stole Vendetta, and TP'd out.
Wow.
All at once. That was just really, really cheeky.
High level play. High level play. Good escape, but I mean, good escape from the Rubik, and that is why Rage, it is a fantastic spell to steal as Rubik, because you're in so much trouble, everybody's focusing on you because you're such a squishy support. If you can get something like Rage or Vendetta, I mean, that just gives you so much more maneuverability and escapability. Now, one thing that we didn't note, this Puck has been doing well, and all that time facing Broodmother means that he has 165 last hits. He does have Blink, he does have Ghost Scepter, so that's a pretty good position for a Puck to be in, and I mean, that is the advantage of facing up against these Spiderlings.
Yeah, however, compare that to Tinker just now finishing a Scythe of Vice.
Right.
I don't think that as a comparison, I understand Blink is great, Ghost Scepter is awesome, but with Ifrit having that Scythe, he can just put on over and over and over for some perma-sheep action. It's not really going to be any chance for them to be able to escape, for them to be able to disengage over and over and over again. As soon as Ben Haz's Rage falls, he is going to be picked. Oh, even beforehand, just jumping in on it. And yeah, if he can't toggle his armlet, if he can't use his Infest, if he can't even become immune to magic, and they just chain up a Chaos Bolt after a quick instantaneous Hex, there's really very little that the Lifestealer can do to survive. And of course, they're just clearing things up as far as sentries go, with their Geometry Sight still active.
I agree completely. So, Blaze, what do you think? You're ice gaming. What are you thinking for your strategy to get back into this game?
I think what they've been doing right so far is picking off that Brood repeatedly, finding opportunities where he underestimates them, and so far I think that they still can be looking for that, especially with this Blink up. Blink of Dream Coil, there's still no BKB, and you can get that pick on Brood.
It's on that courier, wending its way to her immediately, so they've got about, 15-ish seconds before that actually comes up.
Okay, so snipe the courier and then do what I said. No, I don't know.
Yes, I agree completely. Vendetta over to the courier in the next 4 seconds. It's not too late, guys. It's not too late. No, it actually is probably too late at this point.
Yeah. But pretty much what they've been doing there, they've been sending 4 people where they can't get picked up by CK Wisp combo. And from there, they've been doing things nicely and getting free kills out of that, which has actually been catapulting them forward. But other than that, there's not been too much overextension from Isurus, surprisingly, because they have full understanding of what they're up against with these observers. So they have to be looking into sentries, but they don't. There's no way that they could possibly know how far in the woods they are with these sentry wards. I mean, they're putting one up on the top. That's great, but it's just shy of hidden in the middle. So,
it's a sentry. They're just using the Veno for vision and the sentry to try to spot out a Brood or something, or I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I like Isurus' play, actually. I like how cleanly they're playing. Again, they're not sort of... One of the criticisms, not criticisms, but one of the things I see from Isurus sometimes is they have this very freewheeling style, where sometimes I think they just don't, compound their advantage and play very safe. But in this game, I think they're doing a good job. They're just pressuring with the Brood, especially now that she has BKB. This is very, very safe play. And they're just going to get a little bit more farm and just get that BKB up on the Chaos Knight. He's quite close to it as well. Actually, he's only about 300 off. And once they have multiple BKBs on their core units, there is very, very little. And in fact, I would say basically nothing that Ice have in their toolbox that's going to beat a teamfight consisting of a 9-second Magic Immune Broodmother and a 9-second Immune Chaos Knight.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. They have to start forcing BKBs early because if they are immune throughout the entire fight, there is no hope at all for Ice Gaming. They have to make sure that those are dropping down their charges very, very quickly and unnecessarily. We've seen a couple times them doing it of their own volition, but they have to kind of be the initiators in that respect. Just scare them a little bit. Scare them enough that they feel compelled to pop that off. But beyond that, they have to be able to also disengage, which is so, so difficult when you're up against a Blink Scythe Tinker, you're up against a Brood with that much movement speed, and of course the CK and Wisp, which with this tether active, provides 475 movement speed to the Chaos Knight. It's ridiculous.
With Drum's activation, he's going to be very, very close to the movement speed cap while tethered, which is just, I mean, it's shocking. Note Wisp, I do like the Vlads, by the way. Very good for both Broodmother and Chaos Knight. I have a question for you. What do you think of this Puck Necro?
It's interesting. It definitely, he definitely needs a little bit more stats to work with because his issues now with the Blink and with the Ghost Scepter aren't the time periods in which he can cast a spell. He can use his phase shift. He can jump on out of that with a jaunt,
Tinker
whatever.
popping a lot of damage, and the Venomancer ult. That's going to be a kill, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good timing. This is one thing Mystico could have been doing for a while, but now just kind of starting to pick up on it. He's dropping down March Machines over and over. That is damage that's very predictable that he can't really control after he unleashes it. And from there, drop off the Carapace, get the stun on a Boots of Tribals, and suddenly that is one dude that's completely out of position. Very similar to the way they've been picking up the Brood, but in a completely different manner.
And I mean, it's actually even easier than the Brood if you can get it, because look at Tinker's item loadout. Scythe of Ice and another Mystic Staff, almost certainly building towards Shiva's, of course. But he's got 122 intelligence. I mean, how much... Oh no, Puck is in a world of trouble here.
Yeah, it's not a really good spot for him. He can get the phase shift off and follow that up with a blink in a moment if he's spamming it hard enough, but looks like it's not going to work out for him. Just too much damage coming on through, and instead, yeah, he's going to take a fall. Venomancer gets 3 seconds stunned up. Mystico coming in, no BKB, canceling out that Impale attempt, and not enough damage from the spawn Spiderlings. So both of them falling back from here. They did do kind of what I was saying, forcing out 1 BKB and walking away, but flanking on in is Rubik, picking up that Rage and blinking on out. So finding a little bit of a treat to take with him on his way out, but it's not really done yet. There is a double Impale, double Shackle coming on through, but the healing of the Wisp will keep them active. Phantasm comes on through, focusing on Mystico. They're going to be able to bring him down and flush out the Lifestealer. Bring him down as well. The buyback from the Nyx is all that's stopping them from jumping in on the base, and I'm not even sure if they care about that anymore.
Yeah, I think they'll just roll through here. Does Lifestealer actually have buyback? He does have buyback, and he probably will almost certainly need it. But just this started badly with the Puck not quite being able to escape. Almost, but not quite. And the not quite is very, very substantial. Without Puck, without that Dream Call, the ensuing fight was always going to go badly for them. And I think, unless they peel back, this could be Rax, frankly. Nyx is dead. That's critical for them, too. Nyx just fought back, and now he can't come back. Good Shackle, but they're just going to lose people and people and people now.
Yeah, Dream Call comes out on Ifrit, but just a couple of sheeps here and there, realitying back on in Daiko, and a 4-second stun will guarantee that kill, even with a clever 4-staff, so it's too much, and he actually almost kills a Windrunner too. That's big burst damage coming out, but it's all a distraction ploy. Focusing down, the melee racks will drop in a moment, and Ifrit can come back in with full HP, full mana, and keep this pressure rolling if they really so choose. But the main focus is just taking down those racks and getting out of dodge, so to speak, as Roche is up, and if they wanted to go for it, their main initiator Puck not only has used his Dream Coil, but is in the grave for 40 seconds, so now that Ben Haas is up, they're going to be able to fall back, and probably it would be prudent to do so, but even so.
No deaths for Isurus in that entire time, not even the Rubik dying, and he's got his Blink Dagger now, he hangs on to the gem, just an incredibly well-coordinated fight, and again, what happened to Puck with that death? Like, when he was phase shifted, it is rank 4. He probably had the time to Blink Dagger. Do you think he didn't shift Q it, or do you think he thought that he
I was actually monitoring that, and for some reason, it seemed that the Blink was not off cooldown when that phase ended. And I'm not sure if it meant that means it was ended preemptively, or if there was some weird issue that, I mean, on paper, phase into Blink should be guaranteed.
Right.
But, honestly, from my eyes, it didn't seem like that Blink was available. There might be some factors that I'm not aware of.
You don't take Orchid damage if you're phase shifted at the time that the Orchid comes off, do you?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I don't know. That's very, very, very strange. Maybe he must have just ended it early by accident. Maybe he right-clicked by accident.
Well,
if he right-clicked onto somebody, it would have popped the phase shift, caused him to attack before the blink ended. Before the phase shift ended.
So, yeah, well, I'm not too sure. I mean, replay is always an option there in the future, but for the moment, that's just, unfortunately, the death of the Puck, and not much more to say about that. Giant Piglet, other than that.
Yeah, I was just going to make a comment about the enormous pig. But, I mean, easy Roche for them. There's nothing Ice can do. I mean, they're pushed in, they're stuck inside their base, they have no vision. I don't know, honestly.
I'm getting Grieveling flashbacks from this Perma shape coming on out, so... But, yeah, the bottom rack's fallen in, the pressure continuous, and from there, picking up an Aegis, I believe, yet again on the CK, yeah, and now with that Reaver, has so much HP to work with here. Mechanism, overcharge, maxed out, that's so big. 20% damage reduction on what's forthcoming, it's just amazing how much you can actually take. Turning on that armlet, he'll be well over 2,500 HP, and with an Aegis, with a BKB, and with an overcharge and a mech, Oh my gosh, this Wisp makes this CK almost as badass as the Weaver from last game.
Right, yeah, I mean, when you put it that way, it does sound pretty rough. I honestly think Ice can't... This is the situation for Ice. They will not win a 5 vs 5. Even with perfect execution against very poor execution, Isurus are going to have a major advantage in any engagement. What they need to do... Sorry, what? Oh,
Chivas is up.
What they need to do is actually get a pick-off somewhere and then turn it into a fight. But with the amount of pressure that Isurus is putting on them, I'm not sure that's an opportunity they'll actually get.
Now jumping on in. Mystico, 4-second stun. He's going to get dropped down before accomplishing much at all. Benhaz focused on the Wisp. Great targeting in my mind. He might actually get it. No, not enough. And instead has to infest away. Getting dropped really, really quickly. Zender will definitely fall. Benhaz able to be force-staffed away, but has a long time to heal back up, and not a single casualty yet on Isurus.
They haven't lost anybody in, what, 15 minutes or something? Just great play, great defensive play, making sure that the Wisp doesn't go down, the Rubik doesn't go down, while the core heroes do their work.
Absolutely, yeah, that is pretty much flawless action coming out there. So that is it. That is 100% it. This was a best-of-3 series. This was Game 3, and now it is in the books. Isurus Gaming taking down Ice. Isurus Esports taking down Ice Gaming. I'll get this right one time. For the Netolic Raidcall Dota 2 Weekly Open number 5. They will receive the cash prize, and that's pretty much it. They are first place victors, and they are are two-time champions for the first time.
And not just two. I mean, 2 right in a row, both times defeating Ice Gaming in the finals. And I guess the question is, Blaze, if I have a team and I want to actually defeat Isurus Gaming next week, what do I do?
It's really one thing that's really difficult for answering that question is the fact that they represented such a wide variety of different skill sets and different playing styles when they kind of proceeded on through. Oh my gosh, poor Puck. But yeah, they played so many different ways. This time around, it was kind of the meet and greet pick-off setup where they put pressure on in one thing, and like I said, they put focus elsewhere so that if you generally put 1 or 2 people down there, they instead got it turned around on you, and that was very, very difficult to deal with. But generally speaking, if I have to call out any weakness there, one thing I noticed was their tri-lane versus tri-lane, in general, wasn't as well-founded as many are. So you could find pickoffs on the Rubik here and there, and although Isurus played their top lane very nicely, I mean, they shut out and pushed away all of Ice Gaming, I could see a more relentless team that builds specifically some tri versus tri heroes, maybe Undying, Visage type stuff. I could definitely see them maybe coming out on top there. So that might be a little bit of a chink in the armor, but so far holding strong. Isurus Gaming coming out on top of this really, really nicely.
Absolutely. I think that's fantastic insight, but that actually wasn't what I meant with my question. I was just going for a purely gimmicky, it's time to plug the sign-up sheet and stuff for the future weeks.
Oh. Wow. Okay. No big deal. Yeah, pretty much. If they were looking to try to take on a team like this in the near future, Netolic Raidcall, you can check out netolic.tv, click on tournaments there. Actually, the best option probably would be going over to the Dota 2 forums on netolic.tv. There is a tutorial there that'll give you all the information on how to jump into the tournament yourself. You can pretty much go ahead and if you haven't already done so, then you can register an account. Do so 1 for each of your players. You have the ability to create/join a team, and from there, once you have your team, also to go with at least 5. You can go up, I think, to 7 or 8 for stand-ins. And once you have your team created, then you can sign up for the tournament yourself and start off. Generally, it's going to be a round of 64 starting tomorrow evening. So you're going to be needing to look into that within the next, I'd say, 12 or so hours, but try to do it as soon as possible so we can get you on in. But either way, that's pretty much what you're looking at. Get the team formed and just add yourself to the event in the tournaments page. So it's relatively simple. Once you get it done the first time, it's a couple of clicks, you're good to go. But that's pretty much what you're looking at there, and hopefully we will have some of the viewers to be able to jump in and have an opportunity to join us in these future games.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. And no, I meant to say your analysis was actually completely correct as well. If I were to try to defeat Isurus, it would have to be with something like what they did with what Ice did in Game 2, which is the pure aggression. Go for the throat. Try to take advantage of perfect teamfight execution and hope that they sort of slip up there. Because if you let them sort of develop, I mean, Isurus has just played. This last game was just absolutely pristine. Everything they wanted to do with the strategy, they did right from minute 1, basically.
Absolutely. So that's going to be it. That is, of course, like of this Best of the Threes. Isurus Gaming are our champions for Netolic Raidcall Dota 2 Weekly Open number 5. we'll just have to see what's in store for number 6. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been Blaze and Vikromond. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, check out twitter.com/blazecasting. And where can they find you, Vik?
So you can find me either at Twitch TV /Vikromond, VYKROMOND, or if you prefer YouTube, I'm on YouTube under the same name. You can follow me on Twitter, but I don't post about Dota. I post very strange things, so I don't necessarily recommend it.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, well, thanks for coming on, and just a great opportunity to be able to cast some really cool Dota. So that is going to be it for us tonight, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully you guys enjoyed.
All right, folks, and yeah, like you said, that's going to be it for tonight. It's already getting pretty late. I probably will not do any more casting tonight. Possibly more tomorrow, either during the day or later on in the evening. We'll sort of see. We'll see what my schedule actually ends up being, but you guys will know before it happens. But yeah, thanks for watching. We do have 2-time champions, Isurus Gaming. They are really, really good, so I mean, it's certainly not a huge surprise that they managed to get up here. We watched them all this week, really. I think almost every day we sort of saw games from this team, and you know, goofing off in the early rounds where they know they have a substantial advantage, and then getting very, very serious indeed for the grand final and managing to take that out. I mean, great play. We'll have to only see if in future weeks some other team rises up and manages to dethrone